What's up guys, welcome to another tech video, and I know not a lot of you watch this series, so I'm not really concerned about not having a product in front of me to talk about because we're going to do a bit of a history lesson and how I think it's going to play into a product that I have used and wasn't really happy with and kind of expect to see this same effect happening that we're about to talk about. So let's get started. So, in the title, I mentioned a weird thing. It's called the Osborne effect. And the Osborne effect is actually something that was coined back when this was considered a portable computer. This is an Apple IIc. Now, this is not very portable. In fact, the only thing that makes it portable is a handle on the top, and that's it. There's no monitor, there's a keyboard built in, but there's no mouse. This runs BASIC, so you wouldn't even use a mouse to begin with, and it still has a 5 1/4 floppy drive built in, and it actually has a really nice keyboard. Listen to that mechanical goodness. But anyway, that sets the stage for what was kind of a portable computer, and that came out in 1984. But there was a computer before this considered the first commercially successful portable computer called the Osborne 1, made by, well, Osborne Computer Company. And it came out, and it was good, it was fairly fast, it was angled towards the business market, not so much the personal computer market, and it had 2 floppy drives, a rather small CRT screen, and a keyboard that also acted as the cover so that you could carry it around. That's why it was portable. And it was fairly successful, but it did have a couple shortcomings and things people complained about, things like the memory, the small CRT screen. There were several complaints about it. And what ended up happening, and what spawned this term, was that Adam Osborne, the developer for this computer, said that all of these problems would be fixed with the Osborne 2, the next model to come out. All of these problems would be addressed, and they'd be fixed. And at the time, this computer was what was funding Osborne Computer Corporation. That was pretty much it. And so they needed this computer to keep selling in order to fund the development of the next model. But with Adam Osborne announcing all of these things that were going to be fixed with the Osborne 2, well, it kind of just stopped selling. And as a result, the funding for the next model kind of just stopped. And as a result, the original launch date of the Osborne 1, 1981, pretty much only left another 4 years, out till 1985, before the company was completely defunct. So from the company's founding in 1980 to the release of the Osborne 1 in 1981, to 1985, when the company was defunct, one thing killed the company. That one thing was the fact that the funding ceased when all of the new features and all of the fixes and all the benefits of the next model were announced before that model even hit shelves. In fact, before that model even really was viable for production. So I'm talking about something from 1980 to 1985. What does this at all have to do with a 2019 or 2018 smartphone? What does it have to do with Google? What does it have to do with the Pixel? Well, I'm glad you asked. So the Google Pixel phone lineup. I have my own opinions, but purely looking at the numbers, all you have to do is look at Q2 of 2019 to see that it's not exactly the big seller. In fact, the top 3 smartphones right now are from Samsung, Huawei, and Apple. And if we take Apple out of the product lineup because they are not even an Android seller, we're looking at Samsung, Huawei, and Xiaomi. And then it's followed by Oppo and Vivo. Well, maybe those 2 companies are, maybe Google's after that. No, actually Lenovo's after that, followed by what is categorized as other. So Google's not even in the lineup without being classified under other. So the Google Pixel phone series itself is not exactly the biggest seller. It's marketed more towards people who are either very tech savvy or people who are over iPhone, for example, or over Samsung and just want a pure Google experience. And there you go. That's the Google Pixel in a nutshell. In my opinion, minus some optimization, some quality control, and some pretty bare bones features that you find on even iPhones nowadays. But whatever, I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to talk about why I think the Osborne effect is still very much alive and possibly affecting Google and may actually hurt sales for the Google Pixel 3. So if you even remotely follow things like tech news, you'll know that Google has pretty much announced their Soli radar, their Face ID competitor, the back of the phone, the front of the phone, the technology in the display. They've had smaller YouTubers get their hands on the Pixel 4 and completely unbox it and talk about the features before it's even out. We have several months before the Google Pixel 4 even hits shelves, even gets announced. And that means that people who are seeing all of this, and it's not just techie people, because there are so many things being shown off right now by Google that even the casual consumer may come across that will make them say, oh, well, I don't want a Pixel 3 anymore. I want to get a Pixel 4. Those features look pretty cool. So with that happening, Google, I guarantee you, is seeing drops in their Pixel 3 sales, which they can't really afford to have in the Pixel 3 lineup because the Pixel 3 already doesn't sell very well. Now, what sets Google apart from Osborne Computer Corporation is the fact that Google has money coming in from so many other things, they don't really have to worry about one product line being defunded 3 or 4 months before the next model comes out because they can just dump money into it and hope to make some of it back when the next phone comes out. But that can only really last for so long. Google can dump money into the Pixel phone brand for quite a while, I'm sure. We'll probably see a Pixel 5 and a Pixel 6, but there will be a point where that diminishing return is not going to be worth it for a company like Google. They will not see the benefit of selling a very expensive phone that then only goes for about 8 months before those remaining months just drop in sales because they keep announcing their phones early. And don't say they're not announcing it. These aren't leaks. You know, Apple has leaks. Samsung has leaks. These are things where people on the inside are bringing things to the market. You're getting renders. You're getting all of these things that aren't officially from the companies that they're being leaked from. They are renders. They are things that are not actually by the company. And yeah, they're fairly accurate, but we didn't even know until the iPhone 11 came out that there were going to be camera bumps made from the glass on the back of the phone. Up until then, the renders just showed that it was going to be a metal cut into the camera like the iPhone 10 and XS Max. So leaks are very different when they're coming from third-party sources that claim to have some footing inside of a company and they're unofficially showing these things off. Google is literally showing us exactly what is going to be in their next phone. They're not hiding it. They're not going, oh, well, maybe this might be what's happening. No, they're straight up going, hey, since you were curious, here's the back of the phone. Here's, people are curious about the Pixel 4. Here you go. I'm not joking. That was literally a tweet they made. They said, people are curious about the next Pixel. Here you go. And I could go on about certain hypocrisies I feel Google has, like the fact that the entire first Pixel was all about a distinct piece of glass on the top of the phone and no hideous camera bump, and now the entire back of the phone is a slab of glass with no separated design cue, and it's got a massive camera bump that looks almost exactly like what the iPhone does, except it's different and not made of one piece of glass and whatever. Those are not the things I'm here to talk about. My only point is that Google can only really afford to kill the sales of their phone 4 months early for so long before we either see them stop doing that or we see them completely drop the Pixel lineup as a whole. And I really don't hope for the worst with these companies, but on the same hand, I kind of want to see them get what's coming to them in a lot of ways, because history tends to repeat itself. And if anybody learned anything from this odd little mystery tale from tech back in the 1980s, it's that announcing a product before it's even really in production or ready to hit the shelves kills whatever is going to be available at that time. The Pixel 3, I can almost guarantee, is seeing poor sales and probably worse sales now because the average consumer has a means of seeing what the next phone is going to be directly from the source and deciding whether or not they're actually going to spend the money on a phone with a 2-year-old processor and an ugly notch and 2 cameras on the front and only 1 on the back, and whether or not they want to spend $900 on that only for it to be completely obsolete because they know it's going to be obsolete because Google told them it's going to be obsolete because they're showing exactly what is happening within the next few months. I don't know. I mean, really, I think that Google's marketing, I guess we'll just call it marketing strategy, is kind of odd, and I feel like it's going to hurt them in the long run. That's the moral of the story here, but I just figured that seeing that and kind of seeing how it may very well tie in with something that has actually happened in the past is kind of interesting. And if you guys want to look more into the Osborne effect and that story, you guys should check out, I've been watching a lot of the 8-Bit Guy because I've been restoring this old Apple IIc behind me if you guys follow on social media. But while doing these restorations and watching these videos on older computers, that came up and I just made the connection in my mind of this is exactly what Google's doing right now. The only difference is Google has the funding to dump money into a product that they're going to kill off in 4 months in terms of sales because they're going to announce their next product early. Osborne didn't really have that kind of money to throw around, and I feel like at a certain point, Google won't either. So maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know. I can only speculate from here. But I hope you guys found this interesting. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys don't care. Statistics seem to show that you really don't, but that's just statistics. I know some of you watch this, and for those of you out there who watch it, pound it. I appreciate it. Otherwise, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I do, of course, the anime reviews, tech stuff, all that fun stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy all of it and keep coming back for more. Apart from that, I'll see you all in the next video. Make sure to be there, and have a good one.